it's okay with you, I will speak from here. It's slightly easier, and at the end of the day, it's better to be seated than to still stand up. Anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm very happy to produce some of the works of the Belgian Maritime Society, the Koninklijke Belgische Marine Academie in the original Flemish words. It is what you would call, it's different from the academies that you have here in Portugal, and definitely also in France, and perhaps maybe also in Spain, but I think it's more similarities with ours. We are an exclusively independent society, what you would call in English, in England, a learned society of academics, which is a closed shop system where there are only 50 people allowed to participate in the work of the academy, and before they are being allowed to join the academy, they have to give proof of their academic excellence in a maritime subject, be it through a lecture on a maritime subject or through a publication on a maritime subject, a publication which can be also published in our own journal, our own review, which is called Communication Mededelingen, and is a peer-reviewed journal. The Belgian Academy was founded in 1935, so it is not such a very long history behind it, but it is an institution which tries to bring together all those scientists and academics in different fields, because we have also different classes with respect, for instance, to engineering, naval engineering, with respect to law, with respect to economics, strategic studies, history, and art. I think the classical, traditional classes that exist in almost every academy all over the world. We are trying to provide the people who are interested in the sea as such and in maritime matters to offer them conferences with respect to very typical subjects. We had conferences, for instance, on the Danish toll system with respect to the Danish Straits, giving access to the Baltic Sea. We've had conference concerning a very well-known, at least with historians, a very well-known former colonial slave trader in the 18th century, Frederick Romberg, who was one of the first capitalist entrepreneurs in Belgium and had a very huge influence on the international maritime trade. But what I would like to present to you, and I'm trying not to surpass the time, is the Congress that the Academy is going to hold in November this year, 23rd and 24th of November in the city of Ostend at the sea. A conference which will deal with the so-called Ostend Company. I'm not sure whether you have heard about the Ostend Company, but it is this year it will be 300 years ago that the so-called General Indian Company, also known as the Ostend Company, was established in August 1723. The necessary funding was being found in only a couple of days, not even in a week's time. There was so much interest at that moment in providing the necessary capital to make sure that the company could start its work. It was by a very modern system, by the exchange of stocks. You could buy stocks in the company, and many, let's say, very well wealthy people from Brussels, Antwerp, also from Ghent, had bought these stocks, and immediately the company was able to buy and furnish the necessary ships that could start sailing from the city of Ostend, which was a sort of pre-port of Bruges in the 18th century. And therefore, Ostend at that time became, in parts of Western Europe, one of the centers of overseas maritime expansion, particularly in the Netherlandish areas at that moment. And from Ostend, dozens of ships were in a very short time sailing for India and also for China, mainly the Cantonese region of China, and they were importing quite some niche products at that time. For instance, tea from China. At a given moment, the Ostend company produced and sold in Western Europe more than 50% of the tea import into the European markets. So the Ostend company was at that time very important in the 1720s, a very important maritime and economic partner on a world scale concerning the trade towards and with China. It was also interesting for the stakeholders, because they got a return of more than 150% very easily, and also there was a lot of interest in the city of Ostend at that time, and also in the port of Ostend, which became quite important to a certain extent in the Low Countries in the early 18th centuries. Unfortunately, the Ostend company did not survive very long, because there was a huge, as you can imagine, a new player in the field. There was a lot of pressure from British, Dutch and also French interests, maritime and economic interests, to let's say, compel the Ostend company to withdraw from the market, and that's, you know, they were more or less ruined in a few years as such, and they had to stop their activities. And it's the idea of the Academy to let's say, highlight this development of a relatively small company, because you cannot compare it to the Dutch VOC, of course. It's a relatively small company, but quite some successful company. And the Academy has the idea that should be more attention should be paid to that type of international maritime ventures all over the world, and not only focus from an academic and scientific historical view on these biggest big companies that existed in the UK at that time, Great Britain, and also in the Netherlands, in Holland as such. Now, the fact that the Ostend company was so successful has had a quite long-standing influence, or long-standing importance with respect to the build-up of maritime know-how. Maritime know-how in the Low Countries, and particularly in the Belgian part. Belgium did not exist yet at that time, but anyhow, in the Flemish part of that area, the Ostend company provided quite some input as far as know-how is concerned, and that has also been quite important after the reopening of the River Schelde. As you will remember, the River Schelde gives access from the North Sea to the port of Antwerp, Port of Antwerp being the second biggest port at the moment still in Europe, and within the five biggest ports worldwide. You know that the Dutch, after the problems that were that had arisen in the 16th century and in the 17th century after the occupation of the Low Countries by first Spain, the closing of the Port of Antwerp in 1585, I think, and later with the Austrians. But after the French reconquered the area in 1795, after the French Revolution, then the know-how that was built with the Ostend Company played a very important role as far as the further development of Antwerp and its maritime activities is concerned. So the importance of this company, be it a small company and not living very long, has been quite established, and the idea is that the Congress will highlight some of the elements that are linked to this Ostend company. For instance, the existing or the development of European commercial and financial networks, also important maritime trade networks, the importance for the development of Flemish ports of Ostend and Bruges at that time already, and also certain cultural activities due to the link and the connections with India and China, and definitely, of course, also political, legal, military elements, diplomatic elements, where the Ostend Company has been playing a certain role. Just before I stop, Mr. Chairman, let me tell you that one of the sessions in the conference, the scientific sessions, one of the sessions is is dealing with the Ostend Company and its European merchants and investors, and one of the talks that will be given there covers the Lisbon link. I did not know that it existed, but there is the Lisbon link, which is trying now to uncover the Portuguese connection of the Ostend Company in the early 18th century. And there will be two academics from Portugal being able to give a talk on that particular aspect. So I hope you will all come to Ostend and register with the Congress and enjoy the hospitality not only of the city and the port of Ostend, but also of the entire Flemish region. Thank you very much.
Do you hear me? Yes, I think so. Okay. Merci, Monsieur le Président. First of all, I would like to thank the Academia de Marinha Portuguesa for the invitation and for the way it organized our 2 days of work, and not only work, some discoveries also of your maritime institutions. It was very pleasant, very interesting, and thank you very much. And most of this, we worked 2 hours before on a sort of report of our meeting, and we, on the French side, we think it's a very positive report, and it was a very positive meeting. So a few words only on the French Académie de Marine. It has been created in 1753. It was the time of Louis XV in France. And after this, during the Revolution, all the bodies with the name royal were supprimés, deleted. Some academies were recreated later after the royalty, but the Marine Academy was not created because there was the Science Academy in which there were many marine people. And in 1921, the President of the Republic of that time thought that it was necessary to recreate an Académie de Marine in order to have a specific view on maritime and marine questions. So the Academy was recreated in 1921, and that was, of course, a very good idea, a very good thing to recreate it, but to have it under the protection of the Présidence de la République, which is still the case today. 78 members in 6 different sections, which cover, I think, all the interests of maritime affairs, and this is important. But we work also with around 200 permanent invited persons, French specialists of all the fields, and we have also a certain number of associated members who are foreigners, not French, I would say. So that's a big group of persons who are working on the very different aspects of marine and maritime questions. As every academy, we have prizes and awards, and we have spoken about this yesterday, proposing to have also foreign candidates to our prizes and awards, and that would be a very interesting thing for us. And we have a certain number of regular publications. It will be easier within a few weeks when our new website will be in order, because you will have access to some of these publications through our website. Just a few words about our centers of interest, for example, for this year. I will give you a few examples of subjects of interest for the different sections of the Academy. We are working on the Indo-Pacific geostrategic situation. We are working also on seabed resources, deep seabed resources, specifically on a technical aspect and scientific aspect. We are working on underwater cultural heritage, traditionally, also more specifically on technical aspects. We are working also on wind energy at sea, which is quite developing aspects of the economic marine life. Decarbonation, that's of course very important, and we want to have a dialogue with maritime companies in order to know the projects and to know the feasibility of these projects. And we are also working on the evolution of law of the sea with this question of freedom of navigation, but also the environmental aspects that have to take place inside the law of the sea today. These are subjects, some of them are commands, orders, I would say, by the government, because we have a strong relationship, although we are independent, but we have a strong relationship with the government. So the government asks us questions and ask us for reports. Some of them are reports for the government, and others are ideas of the members of the Academy. We think that it's normal to speak about this and to write about this. We came here with 2 main projects to propose to our friends, and we put it on the table, and we are very happy to note that the acceptance of this project was quite positive from our colleagues. The first one is to try to have a common work on certain reports. We are European. We are sharing maritime history in our countries. So why not to try to work together in order to know to which point we can exchange the same ideas and concretely build our new ideas about maritime future, maritime present, and also a view of maritime past. So we propose 2 subjects, and we will see what will be our discussion. What would be first the new ocean governance, mainly after the new treaty BBNJ, which will change the use mainly of ICs, but not only, on many aspects. That would be interesting to have a discussion between us and to create a report on this. And the second subject could be what about a sort of, I will say it in French in order not to be misunderstood, pensée européenne, maritime European thought ideas. We don't want to speak about policy because we leave policy to the politicians. That's important to make the difference, but to think among us Does this exist in pensée européenne, maritime pensée européenne? And we think that countries who have a real maritime history as Portugal, Spain, Belgium, France, and friends who were not present this time, we can have idea about that. We can have idea, and not only technocrat ideas, but also philosophical and so on. So that could be another subject. And the second main question we put on the table is that we want also to have a role. We think that the maritime academies are composed with people as you, as us, who have ideas, who have knowledge, who have experience, varied experience on maritime questions, maritime life, and why not participating more actively in what is happening in our world about oceans today. And there is an important meeting, UN meeting, that will take place in June 2025 in Nice, south of France, which is the following meeting after the Lisbon meeting of the 2022, which was very important. The Nice meeting will be the third one about the Sustainable Development Goals, and mainly the number 14 about the oceans. And we think that it would be good to have a sort of conference, colloque, 2 weeks or 1 week or 3 weeks, I don't know. Before this meeting, we will choose the subject, of course. We will have members of our different economies, but we will have to think also that as it is a UN meeting, we will have to think out from people from other countries and mainly from developing countries to participate to it. And according to what will be the main subjects of this meeting, perhaps we could experience an exchange of views, an exchange of knowledge with different colleagues from different countries, and that would be a good way to show that the academies are not only to show our government and to show to the UN, for example, and to EU also, that academies are not only thinking about the past, but are thinking and working about the past, the present, and the future. And we can have ideas. So this is what I wanted to express on the French side, Mr. President.
Well, thank you very much for attending this interesting meeting. Boa tarde. Vou dizer algumas palavras em português só para saludar. Well, the Spanish Maritime Academy is an independent institution, so it doesn't depend on the Navy or other public institutions. But several public institutions are members of the academy. For instance, the Navy. For instance, some secretaries of state are members of the Royal Academy of the Seas. The Royal Academies are the link of the Spanish Crown with the society. The Royal Academy of the Language, the Royal Academy of the History, the Royal Academy of the Science, the Royal Academy of the Seas are tools of the Crown to be in close contact with the society. So that is why our status is very, very well known in Spain. It is very important. Particularly in the Maritime Academy, we are 133 members belonging to all kinds of maritime activities: lawyers, insurers, shipyards, ship owners, classification societies, designers. All kinds of members are welcome in the academia, and it's a very important asset for the academy to have such a view of the full industry, not only the shipbuilding but also the exploitation and also the manufacturing of equipment, the administration from the authorities. The Navy is also an important member, but it is a member. It's not an important member because in Spain the Navy is very, very well placed in the society, and the most important focus of the Royal Academy is to get together with other maritime institutions. For instance, the cluster, Spanish Maritime Cluster, that is purely, let's say, commercial or entrepreneurial association of companies. Although also in the cluster, the Navy is a honorary member. The Minister of Transport, to which the marine merchant is linked, is another member. But honorary members, the full right members are companies, private companies. And the Royal Academy works together with this entrepreneurial association, the Spanish Maritime Cluster. The same with the Real Liga Naval. It's a more cultural association, and it shares with the Royal Academy the interest in the culture, because, as you can imagine, one of the most important actions or focus of the Royal Academy is to keep alive the maritime history, not only looking at the past, but also looking at the future, not only the Spanish maritime tradition, but also the Portuguese or the French or the English. We have, for instance, conferences about films, maritime films, in order to not just to comment the shipping, but to put examples about the leadership. Leadership at sea is different. The commander à la mer is different. So it is very important for the society to know that there is a maritime sector essential for the life of each of the citizens. Sometimes the society is not aware of the importance of the shipping for our daily life, because everything we have in our houses, 90% of the things we have at home have come by sea. So it's very important for people to know that if shipping was not so efficient, half of the humanity could be hungry, and the other half could be freezing in winter because the trade of fuels and so on. So the Royal Academy is very focusing on the promotion of the maritime sector as an essential sector for our lives and for the economy of the nation. In addition, another important point is a very, very important one is to improve the image of the reputation of the maritime industry. We are used to listen news at the TVs only when there is a maritime disaster, or when a ship blocks the Suez Channel or whatever, no? But the shipping is a very efficient, very clean, and very necessary activity that is very well managed worldwide, and has institutions and is regulated by conventions that are also one of our objectives of the Royal Academy. These conventions have been set out a lot of years ago, and the maritime industry has been able to improve drastically the indicators of life lost at sea that have reduced drastically, as well as the oil spills. It's very important. So we can be proud, and we are very proud in the Royal Academy and in the other academies, of the role the maritime industry is playing worldwide. So we have to keep in this way, but we have to convince those that are not aware in the society. It's a very important mission. I think we have all in common all the people involved in these kind of associations. And well, we will receive the next year. This meeting will be celebrated in Madrid, and I hope to see you all in the next meeting in Madrid. In Madrid, you are kindly invited. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure and a privilege to briefly outline the projects and activities that occupy our demanding weekly calendar. All of them aim to promote our collective knowledge of the oceans and the man-made ways in which oceans have been built, bearing in mind how, over time, the Navy has responded to the different challenges that have been and are constantly being set before it. This fulfilled the mission of, and I quote, our mission, promoting and developing studies and disseminating knowledge related to history, literature, the arts and sciences, and everything else that concerns the sea and maritime activities, end quote. This brief overview seeks to highlight some of our academy's main lines of action, which have been present at other sessions of our meetings, where we have the pleasure of hearing more about the activities and action programs that guide our colleagues who are with us today, and which will allow us to plan future joint actions, as we have heard. I would therefore outline the three interventions areas in which our annual activity is broadly focused. These are, first, the widespread dissemination of knowledge through the public debate of lines of research and topics that currently fascinate and sometimes even cause division. Second, active participation and networking with other forums for reflection, such as academies, research centers, and universities. And thirdly, an editorial activity in its many forms and formats. Therefore, I will focus on the first area, which seeks, first and foremost, to disseminate knowledge through public debate, covering subjects in maritime history as well as art, science and letters, thus marrying the two sections in which our academy is organized and whose members are personalities with a leading intellectual, scientific and cultural background, whose activities, professional or otherwise, are related directly or indirectly to the sea, ocean, or maritime activities. Every Tuesday we host presentation by Academy members and other distinguished scholars whose knowledge work allow us to reflect on what is being produced in our intellectual and academic world, always touching on themes that have an undeniable impact on society, in our Portuguese society. These presentations are published in the Maritime Academy's annual publications, Memories, Memórias, thus highlighting the cultural activities carried out by our institution. At the same time, and since January 2020, all the activities held in our institution have been publicized asynchronously through our media center in the YouTube channel, the Navy YouTube channel. In a while, I will return to our virtual editorial activity in the third area mentioned before. In addition, as far as our first area is concerned, we should point out that we reserve Thursdays for the release of books. So, in addition to this activity, in which sometimes we function as editors or co-editors, other works have been presented that deal with multiple aspects of maritime subjects, as well as panel discussions and debating cycles, such as the one dedicated to the sea economy, which has become one of our annual activities. Another area lies on the active collaboration and networking with other academic or intellectual forums, such as academies, research centers, foundations, and universities. It has been our Academy's prerogative to collaborate with scientific and cultural institutions such as Lisbon Geographic Society, the Historical Society for the Independence of Portugal, the Lisbon Academy of Sciences, the Portuguese Military History Commission, the Portuguese Academy of Fine Arts, the International Academy of Portuguese Culture, and the Portuguese Academy of History, among others. Protocols with other institutions have been carried out. One must bear in mind that these protocols aim to do more than just provide an occasional forum for events. They represent a space for constant and intense dialogue that goes beyond simple collaboration or the shared organization of national and international conferences, workshops, or seminars. Along the year, we hold team-based conference sessions together. Although I can't get into too much detail, I must mention that every year we work closely with other institutions, creating an informal network of reflection where the ocean is a theme that is explored from multiple and specific perspectives. Every year, one of these joint sessions is programmed with the National Academy of Fine Arts, the Portuguese Academy of History, the Blue Ocean Foundation, the University of Aveiro, the University of Algarve, the Institute of European and Atlantic Culture, the Verissimo Research Center, and the cycle of Luso-Italian conferences. In other words, a set of 8 sessions. As part of our annual celebration of Navy Day, in 2019, the Maritime Academy has become actively involved in the day's celebration, organizing a scientific meeting with a university or a polytechnic institute based in the city that has been chosen for these celebrations. The theme remains, it's always actual, the sea, traditions and challenges. 3 of these meetings have already been held, the first with the University of Coimbra, 2019, the second with the University of Algarve, 2022, and the third with the University of Porto, 2023. One must also highlight our institution's annual international symposium, alternating in each year maritime history and Asian history. Almirante Teixeira da Mota, Sarmento Rodrigues, Orient Foundation, Ambassador João de Deus Ramos, prizes, and Maritime Academy Award encourage and recognize excellency in knowledge of our chosen subjects. The third and final area, publishing in its many forms and formats, includes the publication of works of recognized merit in the field of maritime affairs, in addition to the aforementioned memories. The Academy also publishes its history of the Portuguese Navy and is currently starting a collection on the way the sea has been a central theme in different artistic expressions. The first volume of the Maritime Academy Studies, entitled Early Fragments of its History, title that is now we are working on, is also in preparation for publication in English, bringing together a series of essays that demonstrate the plurality of themes that have marked and continue to define the sea culture. Furthermore, the Maritime Academy promotes the re-edition of works whose titles are no longer accessible to the public, as well as publishing works of its presidents in the In Memoriam collection. The catalogue of the exhibitions promoted by the Academy and the summary booklets of the various scientific meetings it organizes are also published. Aiming to reach a wider audience and provide a growing dissemination of the acquired knowledge on the seas and oceans, in addition to publish a newsletter and contributing to the Navy's magazine, we have intensified our commitment to media production. In conclusion, this has been a brief and certainly incomplete account of how our Academy seeks to set sail on a daily basis, as our motto states, echoing the voice of the poet in Lusíadas. Beyond unmeasured gulfs and seas untried before, our daring keels explored. Thank you very much.